creating some problems that that thinking can solve. I found out that many years ago. I remember in 2010, security work, and I started to read, and all of a sudden, my mind started to shift. I started to check out how much money I'm working for. And I said, listen, if I keep doing this for the next 2 to 5 years, I will never come out of this hole. So I said, you know what? I need to change what I'm doing. And that was the first step that I took to move to create that shift from an employee mindset to an entrepreneurial mindset. Because an employee focus on what they're getting paid per hour, but an entrepreneur focus on what they're getting paid for the value that they bring to the hour. So as I said, security, I remember a day I rushing home because I leaving 5 o'clock in the morning, reaching back home 7, 8 in the night, leaving 5 o'clock in the morning, reaching back home 7. And I remember clearly, I said, I never seen my son in his uniform. I need to reach home in time to see him in his uniform. And I got relief a little earlier that day. Yes, I got relief. When I say earlier, I got relief on time. Normally, the relief time was 6 o'clock. So I got relief 5 to 6. Normally, the person always coming late. It was always minutes to 7, after 7, and you're not getting paid for that extra hour. I remember that day I got relief 5 to 6. I took my relief and I leave. I say, I'm going to reach him on time to see him in the uniform. Because for months, I ain't seen him in his uniform. When I reach home, I wake him up. Son, as a bigger son, Joshua, I wake him up and say, Josh, time for you to go to school, boy. He said, Dad, today's Saturday. That is what happens to you when you're chasing after money. You lost track of time. You're behind on your life. You're behind on your dreams. You're behind on your bills. And you're just going around in circles. And this is what people need to understand. The most valuable asset is time. Let me put that to the test to show you that the most valuable asset you have and the most valuable resources you have is time. Some people might, because they're broken or because they don't have any money, they'll say, nah, for me, it's money. I can do it with some money right now. Okay, yeah. Let's say somebody say, I will give you $1 million, right? But you have one day, but yeah, if you take the $1 million, you have to forfeit your life. You have one day to live. It's either keep your life or you take the $1 million. Trust me, you'll forget that $1 million. Because you realize the most valuable thing in life is time. Let me put it another way. Let's say you have money. Let's say you have $1 million. And let's say you have some kind of disease. And they say, listen, the antidote to this or is $1 million. You will take that whole million to buy that antidote to give yourself some more time to live. Even though you might get bounced on from something the next week. None of us know how long we have to live. Then why it is do we build businesses or do whatever we're doing? Like if we have all the time in the world. You need to do it fast. All we have of life is time. But think about this. When people will start to respect time, people will start to respect time. You realize that I switch because the first thing you need to understand about the mindset between an employee and an entrepreneur is understanding the value of time. When you understand the value of time as an entrepreneur, then you will maximize on your time. Picture this for a moment. Let's say from the time you're born, it had a clock on your hand that starts at 70. 70 years, all of us, let's just say, right? Let's just imagine, all of us born with a 70-year clock on our hand. And from the time we're born, that clock starts to count down. You reach 20, you realize, wait now, only have 50 more years. Would you spend 40 to 45 years of that 50 more years working? Or would you work on a skill where you can make more money so the value of your life and the quality of your life could be better? Because a lot of people, what they do, they spend 40 to 45 of their life working, chasing after the money, and just retire waiting to die. I always like to ask the question, when do you want to retire? I like to ask people that question. Some people say, well, I want to retire at age 60, or I want to retire at age 65. I say, why is it you can't say I want to retire when you have the money to retire? Because the last time I worked for anyone was in 2010. I am so unemployable, it's funny, because I understand the value of time. I am not saying not to work, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying not to work. What I'm saying, if all you can do is just work for somebody and trade the time for somebody as money, then something wrong with that. What I'm saying is to focus on working your way out of a job. Because if you can make the same amount of money you're making for the year in 1 month, will you take up that task? Of course you will. Because you know what that means? You have 11 months extra on your hands to actually live your life. And that is every year. If the money, think about it, if the money that you're making a year working, you can make that same money in 1 month. Do you know you can in network marketing? Look how applying Crown Diamond, Tim Miller. Over $1 million in a year. If somebody have to work to make that $1 million, how much years it will take them to do? Somebody who is working class. Think about that. $1 million US in tiki money. How long will it take you to make that money? If it takes me 10 years in Live Good to be clocking that kind of money on a yearly basis, it's worth it. I prefer to network, right? Develop the skill and build a network that will give me residual income year after year. Because if your income depends on your ability to perform, then you have no job security. A lot of people will say, boy, I like my job. Is my boss right? I'm my boss right hand man. You know your boss could get left-handed pretty quick, right? COVID showed a lot of people that. We have to understand what is the value that we place on ourselves. So now you will say, listen, I need to do something extra. I have never been part of a networking company that's this easy to build. But because it's easy to do, it's also easy not to do. That's why a lot of people would not. Even a business as low as $9.95 a month to maintain. You know what's amazing? Here what's amazing. You will trade the time for somebody else's money and complain that you're not getting enough money to maintain your family. But you're given an opportunity and you refuse the opportunity because why? You have to develop some skills. The reason a lot of people shy away from networking is because they have to grow. And what a lot of people, they refuse to grow. They refuse to develop themselves. As I said earlier, people confuse schooling and education. Schooling may acquire individuals to gain useful facts and knowledge, but schooling alone doesn't necessarily mean that that person is educated. Education is self-acquired and can only come through the development and the use of one's mind, no other way. Some people find it's very difficult to hear Why is it some people are succeeding and some people are failing? Because some people make up their mind that, hey, I'm going to do whatever it takes. Some people find $25 is too little bit. But you know, if you go and ask your boss for $25 TT, razor pay, your boss, after he come up the floor laughing, he'll tell you, like you're looking for something else to do with. Because you need to understand that your salary goes under expenditure for your boss, not under profit. So his job is to squeeze out as much work out of you for the least amount of money. You is the one who has to say, listen, I need to do something extra. If right now you're building a business and say, listen, nothing is happening, nothing is happening. Why nothing is happening? Are you talking to people about the business? Or the only time somebody know that you're in live good is when